The Ballistic Shield was recently buffed in the last patch, and a lot of people are wondering if this is a worthy stratagem to play with against robots in Helldivers 2. And the quick answer to that question is yes. It is a solid A tier stratagem against robots right now. I actually think it might be S tier with the new War Bond, but we'll have to wait for that to come out to find out. But it's very effective, and I've even soloed multiple Helldive robot missions live on stream the other day. Today, we're going to be answering the following questions. What makes you drop the shield? What can break the shield? What weapons are best with the shield? How does it compare to the personal bubble generator? And many, many more, as well as some tips and tricks. I'm also going to be including a current list of bugs this patch at the end of the video, and everything will be timestamped so you can stick around. I just wanted to put that section at the very end because some of those things might get patched in the future. But if you're watching this video close to when I posted it, make sure you watch that section because it is very relevant to you right now. But luckily though, I will tell you guys, it does not drop anytime a Rocket Devastator randomly ragdolls you across the map. It's way better to use now than it was on the previous patch. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to help spread my content to other Helldivers, and let's dive right in. So like I said, the Ballistic Shield is a solid A tier stratagem. I would say a little over half the enemies have gunfire, which the Ballistic Shield literally owns. A little less than half the enemies have rockets, but with the armor I'm recommending, we usually take very little damage from rockets, and then it does nothing against melee, so berserkers, you just gotta kind of run away from them and kill them. And I probably would say that flamethrower hulks are the biggest weakness, since the flamethrower can one-shot you a lot of times, and it often does so keep your distance from them. And then the Ballistic Shield can absolutely own both types of tanks and all kinds of turrets, as well as just completely poop on all the heavy devastators. Now, how does this compare to the Shield Generator Pack? Well, the Generator Pack will only protect you from heavy devastators for 1 to 2 seconds maximum, and then they will completely shred through you. So the Ballistic Shield wins there. When it comes to rockets, since you can wear the same explosive resistance armor, the shield generator is definitely going to be better against rocket devastators, since you won't get ragdolled by the first rocket that hits you. But the shield backpack really has the win against flamethrower hulks, at least while it's active, because it prevents you from getting one shot. But against tanks, on the other hand, the shield generator mains have to do the tank dance and run circles around them or find cover. All in all, when you compare the pros and cons against each enemy, I would argue they're both pretty equally effective against robots, but I honestly like the Ballistic Shield much better because it's a more fun playstyle, and honestly, heavy devastators piss me off more than anything. And like I said, with the armor, you don't actually take that much damage from explosives unless they randomly headshot you. Now, personally, I rate both of these in the A tier because I think offense is a better defense. If you want an S tier loadout, then bring the auto cannon, which takes up your backpack slot anyway, and just bring more offensive stratagems. With that being said though, you are absolutely not throwing a game if you bring either of these backpacks, so let's go ahead and break down the Ballistic Shield pack in depth. So what weapons are good with the Ballistic Shield? Well, the only weapons that can be used effectively with it are one-handed weapons. Currently, there's only 2 one-handed primaries, which are both the SMGs, and the Defender is the better of the 2 options anyway, so you don't need the Super Citizen Edition. At least until we get the Tonto, which is a laser SMG from Helldivers 1. Please, Arrowhead, give us more SMGs in the new War Bonds. We have enough shotguns and assault rifles anyway. Anyways, though, the best secondary is actually gonna be the Dagger, the laser pistol from the Cutting Edge War Bond. You can actually run an explosive primary like the Scorcher or the Dominator, which are some of the best primary weapons right now, and bring the Ballistic Shield specifically for heavy devastators, shredder tanks, or anything with heavy gunfire. Now, the reason this is the best secondary is because it has infinite ammo, and it actually does do damage when you're hitting headshots, which if you're using the SMG, you have to hit the heavy devastator heads anyway to kill them, and the Ballistic Shield lets you comfortably aim for those headshots. Now, just a quick note that if you are using the SMG, the Senator is probably a bit better because sometimes you do want medium armor penetration. However, the real secondary weapon I'm looking forward to is the grenade pistol in the new Democratic Detonation War Bond, which is probably going to be the best option once it comes out. I'll probably post a loadout guide with some gameplay once that happens, and I'll add it to the description of this video down below. So if you're watching this video a week after I uploaded it, definitely check the description for that new loadout. But I heavily suspect that the SMG, the grenade pistol, and stun grenades will be the strongest loadout for this shield, We just have to see how good that grenade pistol ends up being. So what is the best support weapon with the Ballistic Shield? Well, we can only choose support weapons that don't take up your backpack slot. I think if you're trying to make a build that covers its own weaknesses, the two best options are actually the anti-material rifle and the laser cannon. The anti-material rifle is slightly better at taking out hulks right now because it only takes 2 shots to the faceplate, but the laser cannon can also kill hulks pretty well in pretty much the same way, just aim for the faceplate. I just find it a bit easier to aim the sniper because the laser cannon maybe takes like 3 solid seconds to the hulk faceplate, and I do like running impact grenades rather than stun grenades. If we can run stun grenades and the grenade pistol, then the laser cannon will definitely be better. And that's because the laser cannon is the king of taking out gunships. It pretty much takes down gunships in like 2 seconds. Now, I would say these are the 2 best support weapons against robots right now because hulks seem to be the most common heavy enemy. There's literally dozens of hulks per Helldive mission. And we have other ways to deal with tanks and cannon turrets. Now, the other thing is, since the laser cannon has infinite ammo and the anti-material rifle comes with 6 magazines, you can also use both of these to deal with rocket devastators, and there are dozens and dozens of those per Helldive mission. And like I said, none of these are really meant to be dealing with tanks because between impact grenades and Eagle airstrikes, that's really my anti-tank options. Now, again, this is more so of a solo sort of loadout, or even if you play in squads but end up running alone a lot. If you have a teammate that can cover hulks for you, then go ahead and try the Quasar Cannon or the Arc Thrower if that's what you want to do. But keep in mind that the Quasar Cannon's very slow, so you're not going to be able to use it against the dozens of rocket devastators, and the Arc Thrower has nothing on gunships, so honestly, with the gunship spawning in Helldive, I really recommend either the sniper rifle or the laser cannon. Now, personally, even when I'm playing squads, which I do play squads most of the time, I still run off solo and I go solo bases and I use Eagle airstrikes and I use impact grenades for that. So I like running a support weapon that can help me be more self-reliant rather than relying on my teammates. Now, the best armor to run hands down, in my opinion, and this isn't just with the Ballistic Shield, this is against robots in general, is the fortified armor with 50% reduction to explosive damage. Now, I've had the medium armor version of this for a long time, but I just unlocked the light armor with this because it was in the superstore the morning I was making this video, so perfect timing. I really only tried out the light armor for a couple games, but it did feel pretty squishy. I will be trying it out more, and if you have it, I recommend trying the light armor just to see if you like it. But I will say confidently that the medium armor with explosive resistance makes me feel more than tanky enough, and the Eradicator armor is also beautiful. I don't think you need to wear heavy armor at all, and I feel really sluggish when I wear heavy armor, so honestly I refuse to put it on. There's also many situations where you do want to run behind real cover and run away from your enemies, so I don't think heavy armor is worth it at all. Alright, so we covered most of the loadout. Let's go over the tips and tricks section of this video. Number 1, the Ballistic Shield mostly protects you when it's on your back. When running away from an engagement, always swap to your two-handed support weapon, or if you brought a two-handed primary with you. Now, this protects most of your back when running away. Obviously, it's not going to protect your ass cheeks, so you will take a couple shots in the ass when you're running away, which is another reason to wear medium armor over light armor. But most importantly, it will protect your head when you're running away, so the amount of damage you do end up taking won't be that much. It is an amazing escape option. Another thing to note is if you do have it in your hands while you're sort of circling around enemies, try to keep enemies on your left side, because if, like I said, if you're circling them and they're shooting at you, it will protect you on the left side. But if you circle around them and they're on your right side, you're going to take a lot of gunfire. But, you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Just dive it out and keep it moving. But if you can circle enemies to your left, you will be mostly protected the same way as if you're running away. You're kind of going to be running with it back and forth, so it'll just absorb whatever ends up hitting it. But it does protect you a lot of the time. Tip number 2 is learn when to find real cover. The Ballistic Shield is mobile cover, meaning the idea behind it is to be able to sometimes plant yourself in a spot, absorb some gunfire, kill those heavy devastators, kill a couple small bots, and then move back to real cover. You will get better at this as you play with it more, but if you have this idea from the beginning, it's going to help you. Now, what I like to do is I start behind real cover, I scope out, I deal with a couple rocket devastators, a couple hulks. Then I run in, deal with a couple heavy devastators, some small bots like I said, and then I find some more real cover and repeat. Now this kind of playstyle can be very good in squads because if you can get into another direction compared to your teammate, it can be a lot easier for one of you to down whatever enemies you're focusing. For example, Hulk weak spots are on their back, so if you can get the back to face your teammate, they can kill that Hulk for you. Or if the Hulk is already facing your teammate, then you can kill that Hulk for your teammate. It also just takes aggro away from all facing one direction. It makes it overall easier to isolate enemies. Point being is stay mobile. The ballistic shield is not going to make you invincible. Use it as the mobile cover it's meant to be, to allow you to get to the next real cover, and sometimes planting down in one spot and taking out any sort of machine gun enemies you come across. So tip number 3, and this kind of has to do with one of the bugs, but before this patch, you could reload your gun, you could throw your grenade, and you could stim, all while holding down your aiming button, and the ballistic shield would provide you cover while you're doing things. Now currently popping a stim is bugged, and that's going to go in the bug section, but hopefully that gets fixed at that point. Now the point being, you're supposed to be able to take nearly every action. You just have to make sure you're holding the aim button while you do it. So hold down the left trigger or hold down the right click on the mouse while you're throwing a grenade, while you're reloading your gun. And this is actually the way we deal with tanks super easily. Now tanks die to 2 impact grenades near their heat sink. Now the shredder tanks are insanely easy to deal with since they only shoot machine guns. You can literally just sit there and look at them. But also shredder tanks, you can land both the grenades on the front of it and it'll still kill them. Now normal tanks are a bit trickier because you can obviously block the normal gunfire, but you're gonna have to dodge that cannon shot. But luckily that's not too hard. You can see when it's winding it up. Just make sure you move or dodge out of the way. And it also doesn't normally shoot its normal guns while it's doing the cannon shot. The other thing about normal tanks is you can't throw the grenades at the front of them. You kind of have to get them to land on top, more towards the heatsink. And in the clip I'm showing, I was trying to sit in front of the tank just to show you that I can kind of sit here and dodge the cannon shots easily. Realistically, use the ballistic shield to get closer to it and then run around it, in circles and land the 2 grenades near the heatsink. That's going to be the best way to do it. And again, this is the main reason I say watch out for the new grenade pistol. It looks very promising, but we don't know how much damage it will deal or if it will be an impact style or a timed style of grenade. But if we can end up using the grenade pistol to kill tanks and cannon turrets, then I think the best loadout will be stun grenades, grenade pistol, and the SMG, because that'll also make Hulks extremely easy to deal with. Remember how I said the laser cannon is a little bit more annoying to aim at their faceplates? Well, if you could stun them, then you'll easily be able to take them out with a laser cannon. And the laser cannon is better than the sniper rifle for dealing with gunships because it takes them out in like 2 seconds. I think the laser cannon is the best weapon for gunships from what I've seen. But this loadout I've been running has allowed me to solo full clear bot missions on Helldive difficulty. And when we were streaming squads the other day, we were full clearing maps pretty easily. I just think if we're able to equip stun grenades and run the grenade pistol, this would go from an A tier build to an S tier build, genuinely. So again, I will be posting an update once that grenade pistol comes out. Tip number 4 is how to pick up the SSD during the hard drive missions. If you have the shield equipped, you will drop it when you pick up the SSD. All you simply need to do is stow the shield on your back by pulling out a 2-handed weapon, usually your support weapon, and then you can pick up the SSD and carry both. Tip number 5 is what breaks the ballistic shield, and heavy penetrating damage will break the ballistic shield. The easiest way for me to show you guys this was staring down a cannon turret. From what I can tell, it's basically made of heavy armor, so only heavy penetrating things should break it, like cannon turrets. But also keep in mind, if you happen to get caught up by a hell bomb or a 500 kg while holding it, it'll also break in those situations. It is worth noting that you guys saw it fully absorb the damage from that cannon turret and you won't die. And this sometimes comes in very clutch when you're running around a base and a cannon turret randomly aims at you and decides to fire at you. Now, if it hits you, you will die. But if it hits the shield will just break and you'll live. And luckily, the shield actually has a shorter cooldown than the shield generator. It's only 300 seconds compared to, I think, 480 on the shield generator. So when those unlucky times do happen, you can usually call down another one. And in general, I've gotten hit by dozens of rockets from rocket devastators, and it's never broken against them or any sort of normal explosion from what I can tell. It's pretty much only been cannon turrets or hell bombs that I got caught up in. Now, tip number 6. 6. The Ballistic Shield does not block melee, so it's kind of weird because if you think about it, shields were invented before guns, and, you know, shields were originally invented to block melee, so it's just kind of weird. And I'll just say, hopefully they add a melee block in the future so that it may have some use against bugs at the same time. Maybe they thought it would be overpowered if it could block melee against bugs, but I don't think so, because in Helldive difficulty, bugs tend to swarm you, especially if you plant yourself in one spot like you do with the Ballistic Shield. They would be able to get behind you and hit you in the back anyway. So hopefully they add a melee block, and hopefully they add a melee bash to the Ballistic Shield. I think everyone wants to see that even more. All right, now time for the section of the current bugs in this patch that will hopefully get fixed. Like I said, I added this in at the end because someone could be watching this from a month from now, and maybe some of these things did get fixed. So currently, the only thing that drops the shield from your hand that I could do consistently was when I dove down a hill and ragdolled myself. So like I said, if a rocket hits you and you ragdoll, you won't drop it. At least I didn't drop it in any of the games I was playing with it. But every time it was in my hands and I dove down a hill, I had to pick it back up. And now that you know that, you know every time you ragdoll from your own dive, you're going to have to pick it back up. That's actually also a pretty good tip. All right, bug number 2. If you reload your gun while in first person, it fully exposes your body. This obviously has to be a bug because if you reload it in third person, it doesn't expose your body. I would say just avoid first person. Honestly, I think looking through that little window is pretty ugly anyway, and it's kind of hard to aim. I'm sure some people do like looking through the first person window, so I'm sure some people want this to get fixed, but as of right now, just avoid first person in general. And then the last bug is using a stim pack puts the Ballistic Shield on your back. Now this seems unintended to me since you used to be able to stim while undercover. This is probably the most annoying bug right now because it fully puts it on your back and you have to completely switch weapons to pull it back out. Now, I will give you guys a tip in that pull out your secondary, because when you have your secondary out, you pull the Ballistic Shield back out and then you could swap back to your SMG. Now, I've also been using this to my advantage because sometimes I'll stim myself purposefully to put it on my back and then I'll start running away. Now, even if this was a certain balancing aspect that they intended, I will say you should only put your shield away while you're stimming, and then you should purposefully pull it back out once you're done stimming. This is so clunky, I'm pretty sure it's a bug, but if it is intended, then I gotta ask the devs over at Arrowhead to please change this to pull it back out once you're done stimming, because it's just super clunky, and this definitely shouldn't be intended if it is. And that's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for more Helldivers 2 content, and to help spread my content to other Helldivers. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.